Hello, it's Shel Anderson. I'd like to welcome you today to Lunch Break with Shel. Thank you so very much for joining me. My name is Shel Anderson and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. I can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube under Stamp with Shel. I blog daily at shelscreativecorner.blogspot.com and I can be found on Pinterest at Shel Loves to Stamp. Today we are going to have a play with the Wildlife Wonder stamp set from the January to June mini catalog. This is a fantastic nature stamp set, especially good, I think, for guys. There's wolf, owl, bear images, some plants here, and some great great greetings, especially for guys, in my opinion. All right, so we're going to have a play with that, and we are going to be making a fun fold today, and we're going to be making a tri-fold shutter card. However, just before the video, I was doing a little bit of pre-stamping, and disaster struck. I dropped my stamp right on my cardstock, but I'm not going to sweat it because I am going to be covering these panels with DSP. All right, so now to explain to you the what I've done with this panel. I put this piece into my paper trimmer, and this piece is 5.5 by 10.5, and on this long side I scored it at 1 3/4, 3.5, 7, and 8 3/4. Then I turned it, and on the short side I went in 1 3/4 inches and cut between the score lines on both sides. So that's how we have done this. And before I do anything else, I'm going to explain, or try to explain, what I did with the DSP. I'm going to take these pieces of DSP and I am going to place them on the panels where they are eventually going to go, and try to explain to you what I did. I took a piece of 12 by 12 DSP and I cut it at 5 3/8 inches. And then I cut that into strips. I have 4 strips that are 1 5/8 inches, and then of course this middle strip is 3 3/8. So the two end pieces, they fit right on there, but then you have to take into consideration the slits that I cut. So that gave me these two. I cut at 1 3/8. This is at 2 3/8. 1 3/8, 2 3/8. So that should give us a good margin on our card, hopefully. This is my first attempt at this, so we may run into a bit of difficulties, quite like dropping the stamp onto my pre-cut and scored card base. That was a little disappointing, but like I said, we're going to cover that up. You're not even going to notice it because we're putting these pieces of DSP on here, and the cardstock is dark. The cardstock that I chose today is Evening Evergreen, and this paper is called In the Wild. This is from the annual catalog, the suite that has the tigers in it, the Wildcats. And I thought this matched really well with this paper, or with this cardstock, so I went with it. It's kind of giving me a foresty type look. I could have went with the other side, but the other side is just a little too wild for this girl. And I'm just quickly, so we're not here all day, adding adhesive to the back of these panels and popping them in place. All right. The end is in sight, and if you're using a DSP that has a continuing pattern, you would do the same as I did. Just make your cuts in sequential order and then cut them this way. Like if you were using like a piece of the Horizon DSP, that would definitely, you'd want your pieces to be in sequential order. All right, there we go. So there is that part. So now we're going to start doing our folds. So this one is going to go this way, and then this one, and this one's going to be a mountain. This one's going to be a valley. See how we're going here? This is going to be a valley. This is going to be a valley. This is going to be a mountain. We'll get her here. And let me see. I don't think I did that right. We'll get it. All right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to burnish them all one way. That one and that one. Then that one's going to go that way. There we go. Once you get burnishing them, and if you do them the wrong way, that's okay. Don't sweat the small stuff. And there is what it's going to look like from the top down and the top up. All right, so now all we need to do is a little bit of decoration. So I have this greeting that I pre-stamped, sending birthday wishes, and I'm just going to trim it off. And then we are going to use a little bit of adhesive, and I'm going to glue it onto this piece of cardstock. And then we'll have a little border around it, just so it sets off the greeting. I can get this into place. There we go. And then we will hopefully trim it out straight. Not too bad. All right. All right. That's good for that. Now we need to grab some paper snips, and we need to cut out these images that I pre-stamped. And this is the owl, and I just thought we'd use him as a little embellishment on this masculine card. And these images aren't too difficult to cut out, so you shouldn't mind a little wee bit of fussy cutting, because the end result is going to be worth it. Now I just stamped these in Memento black ink. You could easily stamp them and color them if you so desire. My thought was just to leave them black and white for simplicity's sake. All right, there's one. And if you wanted to quickly add a bit of color, you could do that. With your watercolor pencils or your pastels or Stampin' blends, or you could use an aqua painter and some ink just to add a little wee bit of color. I haven't done that one in a while. I should take that one out of my bag of tricks and demonstrate that one of these days soon. All right, and I've already stamped my bear on this circle, and we're going to mount that on a scalloped circle. And somewhere here I have another greeting that says, "To a great guy." And we're going to mount that on another scallop circle. So this is what we are going to use for embellishing. So we're going to close this up. This will fit in a standard envelope. And this is going to go on the front of our card here. I'm going to center it right there. So just eyeball it as to where you can put your adhesive and where you can't, because you don't want to put your card shut. That would not work. All right, so there's our bear. And I'm going to put this greeting across here, but once again, I'm only putting adhesive on one side because I don't want it to interfere with the mechanism of the card. Make sense? All right, so there we go. No interference there. If I had glued that down, it wouldn't have worked right. All right, so on this panel, I'm going to put this greeting here. And I'm gluing these all down flat because I don't want them to interfere with how the mechanism of this card works. So then we'll have our little owl. And then this guy, I'm going to put up here. I have to make sure he's down below the top of the card though, so you have to be careful. Oh, do you see what I just did? When this folds up, oh, I think I'm going to be lucky there. I'm going to be lucky. So make sure his ears are down because he just fits in this space. All right, I think I'm going to take my snips and do a little snippy here because he's interfering a little bit. All right, that, my friends, is another fun fold. One of my girls had mentioned to me in December that she really wanted more fun folds, so I've really been trying. So here we go. Here is our Tri-Shutter Fun Fold. Isn't that cute? Now you can easily leave a place here on the back. You can put in a white panel on the back side. But I think this is a really, really nice guy card. Anyway, that's it for today, my friends. There is our Tri-Shutter Fun Fold card. Have a great day. Bye-bye.